Hello, my dazzling and dazzlement. Today I'll be working on this icon here with this cute handsome boy named Hoki. This is Hoki, he's my husband Sona, and if you're not familiar with what a Sona is, basically it's a personification of oneself. Can be in any fandom, community, in many forms. This is from the category furries, making him a fursona. And Hoki is the sweetest boy. He's a main wolf, he's very laid back and very, very fluffy. I absolutely love fursonas especially. Creativity you can see with them is just so fun, and you can really see a person through them. I find it very magical. But before I start rambling about the process, so I already did the sketch beforehand to save time so I can show the finalizing process. And with this, I decided to draw Hoki chilling at the beach with a sweet drink while he's chilling, getting them good vitamins. And I wanted it to be very bright and cheerful. And so right now I'm doing the line art. What I like to do to get these super clean lines is have my brush stabilizer quite high. I keep it only a bit over so I can still have wobbly lines because it makes things look more natural. I only recommend like super clean lines for like cartoon styles. I like to do each stroke in one motion. It keeps the lines clean and very pretty, especially good for anime styles. And yeah, about line art, for especially anime styles, I like to do thin lines, very thin lines, even if it makes it a bit hard to bucket tool or paint later. It's really worth it for the results, in my opinion. Sometimes we gotta do the tedious things or spend more time to get them sweet results. Like they say, it's the fruits of labor. You can't grow a crop and expect it to sprout the next day, beautiful and healthy. My works usually take me a few days to a week or more depending on complexity. And now we're at the coloring stage where I put my base colors. I like to be sure I have the background colors in first, if there's gonna be a background, because it allows me to adjust the colors to harmonize better with the background. And colors do change a ton later, but it's just for the foundation. And since Hoki usually wears green, I made it to be that thing really helps him pop in the image, and actually is complementary color because he's red and the main picture is mainly green and blue, so it helps his red pop. It's a good contrast. Something else about rendering, my advice for rendering is, firstly, I use references. References help so much. I used references for the jar mug and the orange slice and definitely the background because I am trying to improve backgrounds. I even did studies of maned wolves for Hoki's face because they have very specific faces. So please use your references. It is good to build a mental library, but having the security of having the real object in front of you is a lifesaver. It's nothing to be ashamed of if you use references. We've been using references like since forever, so it makes no sense why we put pressure on ourselves to make art from imagination, especially if you haven't seen the item in a while or at all. I wouldn't know how to draw a car off the top of my head. I used to think it was cheating, but it only frustrated me and blocked me in art. And ever since I started using references, I totally skyrocketed. It's important to observe what you're looking at. Ask how it works, why does it work, and how I can apply it to my art. Because you want to learn from the object to make that mental library. You don't want to just copy it and just dip, because you won't learn from it. And then at that point, you're just copying. It's good to examine the reference and what you're doing from it, what you're taking from it, and why you're using it in the first place. You can use it for anything, for textures, items, lighting, so on and so forth. And something else for rendering is my style. It's just cell shading with very little bit of soft shading. But I have to think about things in 3D, in three-dimensional space to make the cell shading look good and not flat. I use 2 layers of shading. One is a light shadow to show the places that are closer to the light. And the second shadow layer is to show the darkest parts that don't receive much light. It helps give that helps give that third dimension I was talking about. It helps feel less flat. I do this pretty much everywhere I want there to be focus on, which is Hoki in this case, is not nearly as detailed as the background, because Hoki is the focused. Like, for example, what I was talking about is the darker spaces is, like, for example, under his neck, while the parts of his fur that get the light are much lighter compared. For light, I like to use the layer Add. It's in Medibang, and throughout most programs, I think sometimes it just has a different name. Basically, it makes the color you have on that layer brighter and saturated. I love it for lighting, and it's the main way I for adding light. I do experiment because sometimes you can get really cool, unexpected results if you play around with the lighting and shading. I recommend using each artwork as a learning experience and chance to experiment. It really helps to evolve a style and or skill for drawing. Every drawing I use, I do learn something. What I use for shading is mainly multiply layer, but I fiddle with layer effects to see which makes or breaks a drawing. Again, you never know what may come out of it. And something about rendering is there will always be ways to improve it. My tips to test if it's good is canvas flipping, because it helps see the drawing through different eyes. It helps you see it, everything looks good. There's many a times where I've used it and the nose or the eyes were not following perspective and stuff. So it helps me see the horrors that I've committed. So many times I'm just like, oh baby, what happened to you? I'm so sorry I did this to you. And use references, as I said. That's another tip for rendering. It just helps you see what you can add, take away, as I said before. Number 3 I recommend is feedback. Getting to talk with your friends or other artists and asking, hey, is there anything I can improve? Be very specific though. Sometimes people don't really know how to answer because they don't know what your problem is. So for example, like, oh, I have problems with the muzzle, or, you ask in specific, they can focus on it and help more. At least that's what I've seen at giving feedback. Something that I did before was also I asked the professional artist, Gabby T, which by the way, should totally check her out. Love her work. I've loved it for many years, and I've also got feedback from my husband. It's helped me so much. It was like a slap in the face, like, wake up, this is the shit you're doing wrong, or this is the shit you can improve. So I definitely recommend. It's helped me a lot, totally jump ahead of where I needed to be. So yeah, I definitely recommend that. When we look at a drawing for too long, we often get cloudy minds and we can't see what's going on with the drawing. So my 4th advice is to take a step back, take a breather, look at the drawing later, like take an hour or a day away, come back, see what you can do to improve it. I do this before every commission. It helped a ton. And yeah, that's the end. I hope you all enjoyed it. It was awesome to make this video. This is my first video, so I apologize if it's a bit rambly and all over. If you'd like to support me, I have a Patreon. Links will be in the description down below, and please leave a comment if you liked the video. And if there's any topic you'd like me to talk about, I hope you all have a dazzling day, and bye-bye.